What up? We're back. This is No Border Sports with No Crypto Ryan and my guest Ted from Ted Talks Ball. What's up, Ted?
Not much, Ryan. How you doing? Thanks
Man,
for having me
good
on
for
this morning. Good way to kick off a week talking to my buddy Ryan. I'm excited.
right.
Yeah.
Kind of got some interesting things going around lately in the 49ers. I didn't think we'd have a lot of stuff going on at this time of the year, but it seems like there's a lot of things that are going on, and we're going to get into them today.
Absolutely. There's always something with the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
Most interesting team in football, I would say.
Yeah, kind of. Well, it's kind of like they put themselves there. You know what I mean? With their dramas, like the quarterback drama between Joe and Steve. Plus, they were also, America's favorite. I'd say because everybody hates the Cowboys.
True.
So let's get into it. Where we going? Here we go. Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy. How do you see this competition shaking out? What do you think of his interviews last week?
Well, I mean, it may not shake out at all. I mean, it may be that Brock Purdy doesn't even play this season. Ultimately, and if he does play this season, it's starting to look like it won't be week one. With the surgery delay, we kind of went from February 22nd surgery date last Wednesday was the plan. Now it's been postponed, and they said early March, and like it's kind of weird because this Wednesday is early March, right? This Wednesday is March 1st in 2 days. But clearly he won't be having the surgery on March 1st. But maybe, I'd say fingers crossed, let's say it's a week from Wednesday. And so it'd be Wednesday the 8th. That seems sort of more realistic for what we might be able to expect. Well, that would put, with the 6-month recovery time, best case scenario where they do the internal brace, the repair surgery with an internal brace, typically has a 6-month recovery time. So we're looking at September the 8th for when he could kind of return to play on average. It could be a little sooner, could take a little bit longer, but that's the average. So, last year, our opening day against the Bears was September 11th. So, it's starting to put opening day in question. And that's without any setbacks. And we all know how a lot of times there are setbacks with these types of things, infections, or tenderness, pain, post-surgical swelling, any of those types of things could delay it. So then the next scenario with Purdy would be the hybrid, which is sort of a mix between the repair and the full replacement. And that's more of a 9-month time frame. So then you're looking at December the 8th, roughly. And, then there's a worst case scenario where the surgeon opens it up. He gets in there. And he's like, gosh, there's just nothing to work with of his current UCL. And he has to do the full replacement, which would be called a Tommy John surgery, which would be 12 months. So then we're looking at March of 2024. God, I can't believe it's going to be 2024, maybe by the time he's ready. So, and that's, Tommy John can be 12 to 18 months for baseball players. So, could be quite a bit longer than that. And that's just assuming that it happens a week from Wednesday, which is kind of an assumption at this point. I mean, early March is the reassessment date. It doesn't mean the surgery will be in early March. So, but, if Purdy is healthy for week one, I think it'd be hard for Trey, as much as I love Trey Lance. I think it would be difficult for him to unseat Purdy based off of anything he does during the preseason in camp and OTAs, unless he's just incredible, because Purdy's got the 6-0 record in the regular season to close out the season, 2-0 record in the playoffs in games that he finished. So, essentially he's never lost a game that he's finished. And I'm not saying we would have beat the Eagles if he had finished the game, but I think it would have been really close. And I did pick us to win, for whatever that's worth. So, yeah, that's sort of my views. I mean, I think it's nice that Trey Lance is going to get a chance to show us what he can do. because if Purdy had been healthy, I don't know that Lance would have really gotten a fair shot at starting.
Yeah, I also want to point out one thing about the brace surgery. Kind of explain why it's kind of pushed back. If you've ever sprained your ankle and then taken your shoe off immediately and had your foot swell and then tried to put your shoe back on, it doesn't go back on because it's too swollen. So that's the thing right now. Like, I've also broken my hand, and after the swelling went down, the cast didn't fit as well. You know what I mean? Because the hand's not swollen anymore, so you're not having as much pressure against it. So, you know what I mean? That's what they're looking for right there. They're waiting for the swelling to go all the way down. And that's kind of why it's been postponed. I don't know if 2 weeks. I don't know. I didn't see it. Look into it. Who knows? Also, the other thing you said, Brock Purdy maybe has a chance of being back by what, September 8th? That's not being ready for week 1. That's not ready for week 1. You need weeks prior to that, at least, to be ready for week 1. I mean, could he come in?
Ryan, I think I think he'd be throwing for several months before that. I think they're saying with the internal brace repair surgery, he starts throwing after 3 months, ready to play 6 months. So yeah, he would have been throwing. He probably would have been able to even practice.
Yeah, but
as long as there was no contact.
Right, but that's the thing. He needs to get into
game shape,
playing with. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, contact, even though he's not getting hit and whatnot, this and that, it's a different speed, a different like feel to the game. You know what I mean? When they're tackling, and that's something you need to get used to. You can't go out there, playing 2 months of two-hand touch, and then go out and be ready to play tackle football. You know what I mean? It's a different tempo, different pace.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's yeah, I mean, I think it's looking likely that Trey Lance will probably start the first 1 to 3 games of the season, somewhere in that range. Unless Purdy, like I said, that 6-month return to play is an average. I think there are cases where people have come back at 5 months, which would be August the 8th, which would give him most of the preseason games to play in. And then, then presumably Brock might be ready for week 1. So I'm not ready to rule him out for week 1 just yet, but it's starting to look a lot more doubtful, I guess is the best way I'd put it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's the thing. That's why I think, we're going to see maybe a free agent quarterback coming in. And I think we're definitely going to see one drafted. Because we're going to need a camp body no matter what. Trey Lance and another guy aren't going to be able to throw all the passes that's needed to finish a training camp, especially when people are on pitch counts, essentially. You know what I mean? So there's definitely going to need to be bodies. There might be undrafted free agent quarterbacks coming into camp just for bodies. You know what I mean? Just for an arm. So there's going to be some guys this year. And I think if they bring back Josh Johnson at any point in time, I mean, like, someone needs to smack Kyle, because we saw everything we needed to know, and we can't have that. You know what I mean? Like, Nick Mullins is better than that. Nick Mullins might not be able to accomplish everything he could do, but at least he thinks he could do it. You could see it in his eyes. He believes. Josh Johnson, not so much. That man was like, oh, no. I don't know what's going to happen here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Nick Mullins is an interesting name, especially given the fact that he's really the last quarterback I can remember who had a very similar type injury that he sustained in 2020 in Dallas in our third to last game of the season, which would probably be week 15, I guess, of 2020 in Dallas, where DeMarcus Lawrence blew by Mike McGlinchey, who we'll probably talk about some in this show. And he hit Nick Mullins on his throwing arm in a very similar fashion to the way Hassan Reddick hit Brock Purdy on his arm. I mean, in fact, when Brock Purdy got injured, was the first thing I said was, boy, that looks a lot like the same thing that tore Nick Mullins' UCL. So,
yay.
yeah, they were shaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely bebop.
So I personally think Trey Lance is going to start, and I just don't see a timeline where Brock Purdy comes back in time. And what I personally think is, I know people are going to want Brock to come back, especially if Trey is having any sorts of issues. And it's not even Trey, if the 49ers offense is having issues, you know, and they kind of start out slow. People are going to be calling for Brock to come in. And I think we at least need to give this man at least half a season before you pull him. You know what I mean? To see if he starts trending upwards, because he's very good at creating or correcting mistakes. You know what I mean? Even real time. Some things are harder than others to correct. We've seen that with like his throw emotions and whatnot and all this stuff. And who, you know, I'm not even gonna get into that, but he can make these throws and he can do certain things that give this team an advantage. And until we are proved that he can or he can't, we need to give him some sort of a chance. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But, you know, come on, it's Kyle we're talking about here, and we know how he is, and he doesn't care about your, you know, ceiling or anything like that. It's all
What
Kyle
can you do
cares
for me
about.
now?
Well, yeah, what can you do for me? You know, can you get me the W this Sunday? And that's all I think Kyle cares about. So I'm with you 100%, Ryan. I just hope Kyle is too.
Yeah. If he doesn't, he's just throwing away first round picks. That's all he's doing. Trey's going to go somewhere else. Trey's probably going to shine once he finally gets somebody who will take the time to be patient with him, and he's just going to be laughing back in our faces. So I hope that doesn't happen, because Trey's extremely talented. The ceiling's definitely, you know, Trey's got a higher ceiling. I mean, Brock needs a hell of an arm to even compete with Lance's final form.
Yeah, I mean, I say all the time, I think it's much more likely that Trey will learn to do what Brock does. You know, I mean, Brock he's got a lot of really great attributes, right? He's really accurate. He makes great decisions. He has great footwork. He has great pocket presence. He's a great leader. I think Trey's probably a great leader too. But Brock seems to just have a little more confidence from having more starts under his belt. And, you know, but I always say, like, I think there's more chance of Lance learning to do what Purdy does than Purdy learning to be 6'4" and grow a cannon of an arm. So,
Yeah, and I must commend Brock Purdy on his usage of all his losses. You know, like he is really looking back on his whole career as it goes and made corrections to the point where it's got him to where he is the man he is today. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Yes, he's experienced it. You know what I mean? Like Trey Lance, right? He needs experience, right? He needs reps. Why do they need reps? So you can see it, so you can understand what's going on, but also so you can make corrections. And once you make corrections, put it on tape, then we could see that's not a problem with them anymore. And, you know, Brock Purdy, all those 4 years of making mistakes and losing games and big moments and stuff like that has all culminated into him knowing how to run an offense, knowing what to do in certain situations. You know what I mean? Like, it's third down and long. We're on the 20-yard line. I don't need to try and throw this to the end zone. What I need to do is protect the ball and either throw it away or not take a sack so we can kick the field goal right here. It's certain things like that within a split second that goes through his head that makes him that quarterback that is so good in Kyle's system. You know what I mean? And Trey just needs time to get there.
yeah, I have no doubts that he will. I've said pretty repeatedly, the only thing I think that will keep Trey from being a very good or even great quarterback is just injuries and or lack of play. But at some point, someone's going to let him play. If it's not Kyle, it'll be somebody else. And yeah, I mean, if we don't let him play, we're wasting our draft picks. And then we're also wasting draft picks we could get for him in the trade market too. If we are going to go with Brock Purdy, then we should trade Trey Lance away at some point. And the less we play him, the less people will pay for him. Unless you believe that him playing will diminish his value, which I don't. So,
yeah, no, 100%. So, moving on into the next topic, who should they bring as a third string quarterback in free agency? Because I'm guessing, like, what, you got 100% chance they're bringing in a free agent quarterback?
I mean, it
99?
seems like it. It seems
Yeah.
really likely.
You don't want to bank on another rookie.
Yeah, you can't bank on another rookie. I mean, Brock Purdy is an anomaly, not just for a 7th round draft pick, but just any rookie to be that productive as a rookie. It's so unusual, even for a number 1 overall pick. So,
Facts.
yeah, so we cannot count on lightning striking twice through the draft. I mean, it can be a backup plan, but we need somebody who has demonstrated that they can win. I personally, even though the name's gone around, am not a big fan of Matt Ryan. Honestly, like my kind of favorite idea right now, as far as, because it's not just how good is the player, but how cost effective is the player too. We obviously don't have a lot of money to spend on a backup either. But assuming that Purdy's going to be back sometime in, like, say, early mid-season, like that, the repair with the internal brace option, 6-ish months, maybe 7 months, whatever it is. In that case, then I kind of like Jarrett Stidham from the Raiders. I feel like he's no, Blaine Gabbert, please be Bob. We've been down that road before. I don't want to go back to Blaine Gabbert. I don't want to go back to to Nick Mullins, to CJ Beathard. CJ just got re-upped though by the Jaguars. I saw recently he signed a 2-year kind of minimum-ish deal with a little bit of, I think it's like $5 or $6 million for 2 years. So CJ is off the board. Dodge that bullet. But Nick Mullins is out there. Nate Sudfeld is out there. I don't want any of the retreads that we've had. Josh Johnson, I don't want him either. No. So yeah, I like Stidham just from what he did to us. He tore our defense up pretty good. He's got a good arm. He's mobile. He's not tiny. And the nice thing about him is that he's not real expensive. He's like one of these guys, like, he hasn't proven that he can do it, but at the same time, he hasn't proven that he can't do it either. And that's
Right.
kind of why I like him. There's a lot of upside. However,
Bill dropped him real quick though.
Yeah, if Purdy is out, like, completely, like he gets Tommy John or whatever, even the hybrid, which is 9+ months, then I think you maybe do have to go a little more established. In that case, I kind of like Taylor Heineke a little bit. People have thrown out Minshew, but I don't think he's a free agent. I don't think we'll probably trade for anybody.
Too.
Yeah. I honestly, the kind of S disturber in me would like to see Baker Mayfield in our locker room with Bosa. Baker, good. No, I don't know, but I mean, he played decently for the Rams. I mean, honestly, there's a part of me saying that they, blocked us last season when they picked him up when they were totally out of it. They had nothing to gain except for to block us. And hard to argue that we wouldn't have done better with Baker than we did with Josh Johnson there in that NFC Championship game.
Oh damn! Yeah.
So Pio time's probably gonna like that if he's still here in the audience. The Rams, I think, got us good. Pio time. Yeah, I don't know. P-A-Y-O. I don't know how you. Yeah, Pio. I don't know if it was Indian. It could be Pio. I don't know.
Oh, he's he's pretty.
I mean, I don't know him well. So you probably know better than I do, right? So it's Peo.
Yeah, he's he doesn't have the tan to be a Pio.
Well, there's There's that, there's a golf course in Vegas called Paiute, that's got a similar PAY spelling. And so
Yeah, like
with the
the
pie.
Native American tribe,
Yeah.
Paiute
Yeah.
Indians. Yes.
Yes. So that's why I thought it might be Pio somehow.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, there's obviously a lot of options. There's Cooper Rush from Dallas is kind of an interesting option. It might be
Jacoby Brissett.
inexpensive. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett is kind of like my favorite of all the options, but I think he's also the most expensive after how he played pretty well for the Browns last year. Some say he played better than Deshaun Watson did, but which is not
Oh my
surprising
gosh.
after Watson hasn't played for nearly 2 years.
I'm wondering if he comes back even. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's a question. It's a valid, legitimate question to ask. We're not even being a hater to say like,
yeah.
I and then he also blew up the market for everybody now. Like the Ravens can't sign
Oh, they
Lamar because
can. They
he wants
can sign
Deshaun
Lamar.
money. Yeah, but they're not going to.
They don't want to.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
I was just on vacation recently with some family members from here on the peninsula, but then we also have some family from Baltimore area, and the kids up to the wife and dad were all just like, no, we don't want Lamar. Not that they don't want him, but they don't want him at the price he's going to demand, or his command, I guess I should say. He'll get it from someone, I'm sure. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I mean, I guess that's an option for us too if we wanted to shell out some draft picks and a ton of money, a huge contract like a Deshaun Watson type 200 and plus million guaranteed contract for a aging, well, not aging, but with mobile quarterbacks, they age a lot earlier than pocket QBs, and he's had some injury issues recently. So, but I mean, it is an intriguing thought. I mean, imagine, Lamar, Debo, and CMC running a triple option out of our backfield. I mean, that would be with like Jennings and Ayuk blocking and Kittle blocking for him. I mean, it'd be pretty unstoppable. You got to admit. And then, other options, of course, it wouldn't be a QB discussion if Tom Brady's name didn't come up, right? I mean, he's supposedly signed all his paperwork to retire, but until he doesn't sign somewhere, I refuse to believe that he will. He also, like, I think, didn't he deferred his broadcasting contract for another year to supposedly to make up with the family, but that could also be to see what offers he gets from teams too. If you're a cynic like me, tinfoil hat guy like me,
bro, like if you're taking a year off after you decided to go just to make up with the family, like that's so stupid. Like it's so like after the fact and like hey
but
guys,
what if he takes the summer off and like they're still like, F you, Tom, we've had enough. I mean, so they're still gone either way. I mean, then might as well come back and play at that point, right? I mean,
no.
Do you want to
put up another do you want to put up another season that's it could be anywhere close to your last season like that? No.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like,
but part of that was due to his O line was just in shambles. I mean, they
I
lost
don't care.
Jensen, they lost Wirfs, they had the one tackle they had like
That
led the
can't
league in
happen tomorrow,
holding
next year.
penalties. Oh, it could, but it's a lot less likely when you got Trent Williams and Aaron Banks at least on the left side,
Yeah.
and I don't know, the
Yeah,
right side's
question
looking
mark on
pretty
the right
iffy.
side.
It's question mark at center, question
Yeah.
mark at right tackle.
Sounds like something.
Maybe.
Yep. So we've kept three quarterbacks on the team going through the whole year at times. So this is really not a big thing, I don't think, Steve-O. It's not like we always carry three quarterbacks every game day.
No.
So it's if game day he's having three quarterbacks, then that's a little more eyebrow raising. Shout out to Jess. Shout out to everybody in
We
the
did
chat.
Yeah, we did it in 2020 because of COVID. And then we did it in 2022 because Jimmy, because, we had Purdy and Lance were going to be the 1-2 punch. And then nobody wanted Jimmy. And so it was too tempting to re-sign him cheap, which I still work. God, I mean, we got to talk about him, I guess. I mean, where's Jimmy going to end up? I guess that's a conversation, but could he end up back here, especially
I have
if
my finger on the
Purdy is
button.
out long time? I mean, come on, Ryan, he knows the system.
He knows the system. He's plug. He knows
If
all
it
the
works for Josh
guys.
Johnson, yeah, and they all love him. Yeah,
They all love
the
him.
locker room favorite. Yeah, it's great.
Let's get into this. I actually personally, so the question is, where do you think Jimmy ends up and for how much? I personally believe he might end up in Jacksonville.
Really,
That
as a backup
well,
for Lawrence, Trevor Lawrence.
yeah, wasn't that the rumor that they were coming out and they were like a $20 million contract or something?
I mean,
Wasn't
I've
it him?
heard Raiders, Pats, Tampa, Jets. Tampa is the one from Florida that I heard. And I've actually heard Miami rumblings because, Tua, who knows if he's ever going to play again after all those concussions.
I don't know. I just saw Jacksonville, like that's a bad move that's a bad move to make, and their GM is known for making them. You know what I mean? That's
Oh, you mean Trent Baalke?
yeah.
Who's that? He's
Yeah.
brilliant. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this totally seems the whole thing. I heard the rumors of him talking with somebody else. Now, also the Raiders, man, that's also a great Al Davis type move. Like Jimmy's a good stand-up guy, and he's got that quick release. Remember, speed, fastest wins when it comes to Raiders. So, you know what I mean? They don't seem to look at the fact that he stares at his first read, and so it doesn't matter if he's got a quick release if everybody knows where the ball's going.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy is kind of similar to Derek Carr, who they just let go. I think Jimmy might even be a little bit better when he's healthy. But he's obviously not healthy very often.
Carr can sling that ball.
The thing about Jimmy is that, I mean, about the Raiders is they've got the weapons. I always said, like, wherever he goes, he's going to fall on his face because he's not going to have Kyle, he's not going to have Debo, he's not going to have Kittle, he's not going to have CMC, all these great weapons. But they've got Devontae, they've got Waller, they've got Renfro, and they've got Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing.
They don't necessarily have Josh Jacobs.
That's true, but I think they'll
I don't know if he wants to be with them.
That I don't know. I haven't followed it closely enough to know like his intentions or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's a given that he just re-signs back with them. You know what I mean? It's not. I personally think there's not going to be a hometown deal.
Right. No, I mean, yeah. I think it was going to be a franchise tag was what I figured.
Oh, if they're going to franchise him, that's another thing. They could go ahead and do that. That doesn't seem smart. Well,
yeah, it doesn't typically lead to good.
It
players
could be.
don't like
so
it.
With running, no, they don't. But when you're talking about a running back, right, and you're talking about, hey, I drafted a good running, okay, he's still good, but he contract runs out. If you franchise tag him for 1, maybe 2 years, their fall off's probably coming soon after that, right? So you're
it makes a lot of sense.
Essentially, getting every money worth,
to have that out.
Worth. Yeah, and then you could just, you're not like in a 3-year, 5-year contract with them. You know what I mean?
And then he turns out to be Frank Gore and plays for 15 more years and makes you look like a fool.
Well,
hopefully, I still don't. My hate for the Raiders has dropped a lot. I will say a lot of teams have leapfrogged them, but I still have a little distaste for them from the whole barrier.
Yeah,
rivalry.
Raiders suck.
Yeah, I'll never root for them. That's for sure.
Who do you think the 49ers will be the number one target in free agency? What will it take to bring them in?
Um, I mean, yeah, this is the $64 million question, and it's the rumors going around are making it sound like we're planning some restructures to clear up some cap space. So it sounds like we're trying to make a splash move in free agency, kind of like we did with Mooney Ward last season. The names kicked around so far were Eric Armstead, Mooney Ward, and Fred Warner as players that
Christian
are eligible
McCaffrey.
for. Christian McCaffrey should be thrown in there because he's great, and there's not much chance we're going to be looking to part ways with him anytime soon. But yeah, he would be another one. Kittle would be another one. And then lowest on my list would be Trent Williams, who has lots of restructurable money, but he's already locked up till age 39. So the last thing I want to be doing is paying him when he's 40 and not on the team, or 41, and paying him these, dead year bonuses. That's what essentially I think what we would need to do to restructure his contract. So yeah, who are we going after? Hargrave's a good one. Jess brought up there. Defensive tackle from the Eagles, Javon Hargrave, excellent player.
What about
There's
David Amumana?
I was just you read my mind, man. That's so good. I was just
Also
Onyemata or something like from
Onyemata.
the
So
Saints,
also,
defensive
yep,
tackle. Another great choice.
Shy Tuttle
Tuttle.
from the Saints. Now
Yeah.
he's more of that one technique, and he's not very
The nose
fast.
tackle.
But
yeah,
I was watching a lot of Saints highlights, and it seemed like he was never on the field when the other team busted a run, except for when he took himself out of the play by going across the center's face and kind of going up to the, and then the running back just immediately was like, nope. But it seemed like I also found like Shy Tuttle, the Eagles played him, and we're going to talk about this later, the rugby scrum, and they didn't get the conversion. And one of the reasons why is because he was right over the center, and you can see him get the push, and then you had other guys go over the top. So, like, those are two guys. I think then they're cheaper. Like Shy Tuttle, I think I think he was like 4 or 5 mil, and I can't remember what Amamata was, but it seems like, and I was, it's funny. I was looking up Shy Tuttle because I seen he was cheap, and I seen his numbers, and I was like, oh, like 44 tackles on like 500 snaps or something like that, and some of the guys at the top of the list, they've got the same type average, as, to snaps to tackles. So I was looking at him, you know what I mean? And then I keep seeing number 93 flash in like every, highlight reel. I'm like, who's this number 93? I got to check him out. Oh, he's a free agent too. Yeah. Who else do you think a defensive tackle?
A nose tackle. Obviously the big name thrown around was Deron Payne, but it looks like the Commanders are going to franchise tag him. I'm blanking on the guy's name right now, but there was somebody from the Vikings too, who's a pretty good defensive.
Yes.
Tomlinson? No.
Something like that. Hold on. Let's move on, and I'll try and see if I can't find.
Sure.
Keep on.
But so those are some options for D tackle. I mean, honestly, when I ran a poll when that news popped about potentially restructuring, some people were like, hey, is it true? Is it not true? Like trying to get confirmation on it. I just was like, let's just assume it's true. And I ran a poll of like, hey, what do we think are the top needs for the 49ers in free agency if we, with this money that we're going to free up from these restructures? And I was like, right tackle, defensive tackle, defensive end, or safety, I think were my top 4. And right tackle, smashed that one. And I said, are those all wrong? And I said like center, QB, some running back, tight end, wide receiver, something like that. And center smashed that one. So, I mean, it seems like people are worried about right tackle. People are worried about center. People are worried about defensive tackle more than defensive end from the polls that I did. And, they weren't a huge
Dalvin Tomlinson.
response. I think I think that's what I said. Yeah, I got one right for once. Yeah. So he's another
8.5.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He had 5 with 42 tackles, 3 sacks, and 10 quarterbacks hit, 1 fumble. That would definitely want to bring on the team. What's it like? The Shy Tuttle, 528 snaps, 49 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. So he's not fast, so he ain't getting to the quarterback quick. But they have to double team him. Like when he was playing against the Eagles.
I mean, I'm not that worried about
double teaming him or chipping him. Not out of the tackle.
Sacks are nice. You're kind of breaking up though, Ryan.
Hold on.
I was just gonna say, sacks are nice, but but for me, defensive tackle, it's all about eating double teams and keeping our linebackers clean, so that they can make plays. That's really what I'm looking for. So a lot of times that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, as well as, sacks are definitely nice. And don't get me wrong, we definitely haven't had many sacks from our defensive tackle spots lately, but there are more important things to me than that.
Yeah, and the run defense is where it's at right now. We need a nose tackle to kind of stop that, because we get pushed around on short yardage plays totally. And to have some more,
ever since we lost DJ Jones, maybe that'll be Kalia Davis, but I don't know that we can count on him. Since he's
one thing I notice is good defensive lines like the Saints and the Eagles. It's not that they just have good players on the line. They have good big players, and they're deep at that position. You know what I'm saying? Like we're deep at, guys who are athletes who can make all these moves, that, great pass rush. These guys got, like defensive tackles that get down in the run game and move offensive linemen around. And that's, I think, one reason why they're so effective, is because they got more weight and more strength on that line than a lot of offensive lines do. And to be able to swap people out.
Yeah, I was going to say, and one, excuse me, one reason to look at defensive tackle and free agency is because defensive tackles typically take 2-3 years to blossom. So like drafting a defensive tackle might not be the best idea compared to, say, like a defensive end, where a lot of times DNs, it's very similar what you do in college to what you do in the pros. So DNs tend to have more early success in my experience.
Well, DNs are kind of like running backs. People don't know their style, how they do things just yet. So when they come in the league, they're kind of a mystery. Defensive tackles, you're in the middle of the line. So even if you got these nice, mysterious moves, there's somebody who's going to come around and you're going to get bumped or something like that. You don't have the strength that the offensive linemen do. Like there hasn't been many defensive tackles that come out of college and have the strength of a defensive tackle from the NFL or
Aaron
an
Donald,
offensive lineman.
There's like a short list. I think Vita Vea too, but
remember what's his, oh gosh, he had that hit. Wasn't he playing for Michigan? He coming through Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, but he's more of a D end.
Yeah, but still, that guy was, you're coming through the line at that. those guys make it. The other guys, like, it's okay to draft them, just don't draft them high.
Yeah,
Find a guy who
no
had good
doubt.
production, who is, who's consistent at college, draft him later in the rounds, and then put him on your squad and help him become the player you want him to be.
Let Kosarik work his magic.
Yeah. Let's get to the next. Let's see. Do the 49ers use all their picks in the draft, or do they trade up or down? You go ahead with that. I'll let you
You go
start
ahead,
that one
Ryan.
off.
Looks like you wanted to. Go for it. Unless you want me to. I can. It's fine.
I don't know. So I see them moving up if there's a guy like they're normally really, really good at figuring out where their position is, finding out who should be available in that area, and pick from those people. Okay. That's what they're really good at. The only time I think they really move up is when they think that their pick they're not going to be able to get the player they wanted that pick. Hence the Trey Lance moving up to 3, getting Brandon Ayuk, moving up to get Brandon Ayuk, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Certain people start coming off the board, or certain players are going to come off the board, like in Trey Lance's situation. You know what I mean? They were able to do that beforehand. Brandon Ayuk was on the spot. It's, do they go on a run on tackles and force the 49ers to go up because they know the guy that they want isn't going to be there if things keep up like this? You know what I mean? So that's what I see. It all depends on if there's something goes on in the draft where all of a sudden certain things are prioritized over others, and that causes the 49ers to have to make a decision to get the player that they want.
No, that's true. That's very true. And I think also if you want a right tackle, I think you're going to have to move up to get a good one. If we do end up drafting one to replace
I don't think you have
McGlinchey.
to move up too far, though. Depending on how things fall, you might only need to move up like to half a round.
Could be.
And
I
which
honestly haven't studied it enough yet to know.
I've been doing well, and who knows? I've been doing draft simulations, and I happen to think they're wrong, but who knows? It seems like there's a couple of DNs that are falling, that are falling. That so the first pick is pick 99, and the PFF draft has got 2 defensive ends, one in the 40s and one in the 50s, and they're always around at level 9 at pick 99. Neither of them really work well for our scheme, but that doesn't mean that somebody doesn't have an idea in the team. So who knows? But we also have 3 picks right then and there. So we can pick whoever we want, essentially. We've got 1 pick in between our 3 picks, so we can pick the one person we have to have out of the 3 picks we want, let the next team go, and then we pick exactly whoever we want. Doesn't matter.
True, no doubt about it. But yeah, so I think we will. I mean, it'll all depend on free agency and how many people we sign, how many holes we need to fill with the draft. But I'm assuming that we'll sign some people in free agency. We'll keep some of the guys that are our free agents. We'll probably grab some from other teams, 1 or 2. And I think we'll probably package 3 or 4 picks out of the 11 to move up, and probably end up with 7 or 8 picks overall would be my guess. I would not rule out stealing from 2024 picks to use in 2023, either in the draft, in the 2023 draft, or in a trade type scenario. I would not be shocked to see Kyle kind of take a page out of the Rams book this season and go all in. I think he's frustrated with losing. I think the fan base is frustrated with losing. I bet you Jed is frustrated with losing. And I wouldn't be shocked to see us either this year or next year go all in. kind of like the Rams did. At some point with the ballooning contracts, it kind of just gets to be that way, where it's like your year is going to be over with either way. Hamilton talks balls here.
You just
So for
wait until
those
you
who
see
don't
this.
know,
Just wait until you see this next
that
comment.
that's my dog Hamilton, and it's my first parody account. So whoever's doing it, thanks for doing it. It's a lot of fun. Although I guess the next comment maybe not. We'll see. But
Oh no, hold on. I gotta put Bryant get in the
okay, it
corner.
wasn't him.
Bryant get in the corner. He's saying he move up to pick Jake Moody if it appears the team tries to sign him before the 6th round. I don't think that's a thing. Sorry, Bryant. Appreciate you. Also, the other
I'm
thing
not
is
familiar with Jake Moody. Who's Jake Moody?
Jake Moody is a kicker. He's a
Oh,
place kicker.
well, yeah. If we let Robbie Gold walk, I was listening to some people talk about it. I guess it was Locked On Niners. Croc and Peacock were talking about it some, and Croc was just like, I just want to not have to worry about the kicker position. And I totally get that. And I'm a big Robbie Gold fan. Obviously he's perfect in the postseason. And he was pretty much saying if it's 50-ish yards or in, you can pretty much bank on it. It's like, yeah, he'll miss from time to time, but it's really surprising when he misses. It's nothing you expect because that almost never happens, and it's never happened in the playoffs. But Peacock was sort of trying to get to say like, hey, it's not just about that. It's about money. Are we going to pay a kicker $5 million? And it's not just $5 million. What if he wants $5 million for the next 2 seasons? And so then you start worrying about, and kickers a lot of times can play till they're old, but at some point the wheels fall off for everybody. Father Time is undefeated.
It's
Last
$5
thing
million.
you want is to pay Robbie Gold $5 million in a season when he's terrible and gone
It's $5
downhill.
million.
So
it's $5 million.
yeah, no, I mean, I like it. I don't mind it for 2023, but if we're talking about 2024 or beyond that, then I start to get nervous.
No,
For sure.
It's $5 million. You're talking about investing on a guy who has been nothing but good this whole time. I mean, what happens? He falls off in the middle of 2024 and you have to go and find another guy. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
he's
it's
worth
the middle
every
of 2024, Ryan, we don't know that he'll even be good in 2023 yet. So I mean, we can. It seems like he will. I'm not trying to say it's like a high probability that he falls off in 2023, but it could happen at any time.
Robbie's smart enough; he won't pull a Tom Brady and stay 1 year too long.
But it's just like with kickers, they get the yips, and then a lot of times it's over. Like with look at Brett Maher last year. I mean, he's not super old or anything like that. He just.
But he's also not as consistent as Robbie Gould.
No, not even close.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not even the same caliber. So I could see how he would be more susceptible to that happening than Robbie Gould. You know what I mean? Like Robbie, like
I said, I like him. I've been all for re-signing him, but I mean, I just hope it's like a 1-year deal, ideally.
Hey,
but we'll see.
Whatever's clever. It's not like I'm 100% right. You know what I mean?
Well, if you have a team that is built on D and run game, you're probably going to be in a lot of close games. And what do you need in a close game? You need a really reliable kicker. So
most definitely.
Yeah.
The other thing is it's hard, man. It's so hard to get over a loss when there's multiple missed kicks, like maybe a point after or a field goal or something like that, because it's like, gosh, those are the easier things to do. It takes a lot to get down the field. Scoring a touchdown's actually, a really amazing thing. Like it doesn't just fall off a tree. You know what I mean? You have to, and that's why, field goals, they're so important. So
yeah, no, NFLDs they're good at what they do and they adjust.
Did you see this rumor?
What's that?
He's asking if it's a true that the Chicago wants to trade the 1st round pick for Purdy.
No, because it would have already happened. That would be, you would do that and you wouldn't even think twice. even if you weren't going to pick a quarterback number 1 overall, you could trade back from number 1 overall and get just a king's ransom. I mean, there's that would have like we'd be hearing about it in the news if that was the case. It would have already happened.
How do you feel about Brett Favre suing Pat McAfee because Pat McAfee said he allegedly stole from the poor people?
I mean,
Notice I said allegedly.
Yeah, you're smart. Don't open yourself up to exposure. In case Brett's watching, careful. I think he's a scumbag, personally.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
a
Brett Favre is an
scumbag.
absolute scumbag, and this is just more evidence of him being a scumbag about being a scumbag. So F you, Brett Favre. If I didn't already hate you enough for beating us all those years in the 90s, this just adds to my hatred of you. So I hope you end up in jail, but I don't think he will. People like that typically don't. It's sad.
I think we should start a poll or maybe a petition to make Aaron Rodgers the best Green Bay Packers quarterback ever in history. You know what I mean? Along with like some sort of a pool to erect some monument in Green Bay. You know what I mean? Twice as big as any Brett Favre.
Favre threw a lot of TDs, but he also threw like just as many or more
INTs.
interceptions. Yeah, so Aaron Rodgers is a lot more accurate. I don't know if he's better. Favre pulled some wins out for sure.
Oh no,
but
it's not about being better. It's about
no, I know. It's just about
ego.
Tarnishing his legacy. Yeah.
No, it's just like
knocking
hitting
him
his
down
ego.
a peg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice shiny statue.
I'll sign it.
I mean?
I'll sign.
Yeah.
Send it my way. Hey, we were talking about free agents. Just wanted to throw out one that I kind of like.
Gotcha.
And it's not one of the biggest positions of need. But if we don't draft a tight end, because we never do, I've wanted one since 2020. So the last 3 drafts, I've wanted a tight end who can block and catch. I kind of like Hayden Hurst. You know, I think he did good things for the Bengals. I think he would be nice on the other side of George Kittle, and not too expensive either.
I also wanted to bring this up. Sue Neal from So Real Sports Talk. He brought up a good point about, hey, all this restructuring, people need to be prepared. They might be doing this to re-sign McGlinchey. And
absolutely,
yes.
Well, that was what I said in my poll. That was the number 1 need is right tackle.
Yeah.
He's the best right tackle on the market, apparently. And guess what, Ryan? He knows the system.
He knows the system. Yeah, no. When he said that, I was like, this is totally facts that people need to be ready for this. And do I want to see money allocated his way? No. Wait, you know what? If we got somebody on the team who could take his spot at right tackle, then yeah, let's re-sign McGlinchey. The reason being is we start the other guy and we use McGlinchey as a tackle in the jumbo formation. The guy's good at run blocking, right? So bring him back.
Yeah.
Let's run block with the jumbo formation for the first half of the game. Let's get McGlinchey out there for at least the first half of the game. You know what I mean? Just running all over the field, just smacking people around. You know what I mean? And then you don't have to do that so much maybe in the second half, but you could still do it because he's still going to be on the team. You're going to be paying him a lot of money. You're going to want to get your worth out of him. I just don't want him there on passing downs. You know what I mean? I
thought you wanted Poe in that position.
Poe at center, or well, look, or tackle. You know, or jumbo tackle or tight end fullback is more where I like him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's good at pulling. He's not necessarily like a tackle, like a dig your feet in the ground type of tackle. You know what I mean? Which is kind of what you need on an edge. But if you have him as tight end to where he can chip, you know what I mean? He's going to be dangerous, or him pulling is going to be even more dangerous. So if you have, Trent Williams give somebody a little push on the side as they come around the edge and Poe smacks him in the face, coming on, a pull from the tight end position, it's going to be nasty. Nasty.
Do you think we'll resign Brendel?
I have a feeling we're going to resign everybody on the line in the back of my head because of Kyle. And they know the system. You know what I mean? Like that's in the back of his mind, I think his safety blanket is the offensive line being able to do whatever he puts on paper. More so than wide receivers, more so than quarterbacks. I think he gets, that's where he gets his safety from, is knowing that his offensive line can do everything that he draws on paper. And that's why I think he might bring everybody back. It all depends. We don't know what he's seen in practice from the other guys. You know what I mean? If I could look through his eyes, being John Malkovich, if I could be Kyle Shanahan, then I could tell you right now. You know what I mean? Because I would know what he's seen. And
McKivitz.
yeah, I could tell you, is McKivitz going to take the spot? Is Poe stepping up? Is Zakelj in there? Because they've been talking about, a couple of guys taking over that center position.
So yeah, I could see Zakelj center, Poe right guard, and bounce Burford out to right tackle.
And how many, I don't know if you said you haven't, but these draft simulations, they like all have the 49ers needing a guard. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the only thing we've drafted on the offensive line for the past 2 years is guards. You know what I mean? For the most part, guards.
Maybe because like Burford and Brunskill platooned at right guard, and Brunskill's a free agent. Maybe he'll be gone. Maybe they think we need to backfill Brunskill.
Danny Brunskill doesn't get enough credit.
He did well. He platooned well with Burford, and then he filled in really well for Aaron Banks at left guard when he was out. And that's a position he had barely played. We always said, like, oh, he can play all 5 positions. He can play all 5 positions. But really, he had barely ever played left guard until then. And he did really well for, 2 or 3 games there at the end of the season, if I recall correctly.
I don't know if there's really a big difference between right and left guard, especially in like a Kyle Shanahan situation, scheme, because you're pulling both sides anyways. You know what I mean?
It seemed to be for Aaron Banks, though. It seemed like Aaron Banks really was a fish out of water at right guard. Like he couldn't compete with Brunskill, and then all of a sudden he's better when he's at left guard. Maybe it's just he needed that year to get jacked up and ripped and whatever you want to call it. But
maybe it was his stance. Maybe him having his foot a different position was just throwing everything off. But really, when it comes down to it, there should be no real, because as a guard, you have to block down on the center, and you have to block down on the tackle at times. You know what I mean? So it's like doesn't matter where you are in that position on that line, right or left, you're doing the same movements. You know what I mean? You're going to both sides. You're doing this and that.
Except for the center's ahead of you and the tackle's behind you. So like,
well, the tackle's not really behind you. They're normally like right next to you. But it's it depends also on people's formations. Some teams do things differently. Some teams want their guards and their tackles really close to each other. One want more of like a V, but without being past the center's hip. The tackle's helmet being past the center's or farther back behind the center's hip. But yeah, so it's just and really it's more about the person next to you than it is the position, I would say, because you're talking about knowing people's tendencies, like passing people off and stuff like that. That's really it. Knowing how you're, like there's certain times, when I was playing tackle and guard and all that, you have line calls. Okay. And if already, hey, every time we get a front like this in front of us, we don't even have to call the line call. We're automatically going to do this. Then that with that person. You know what I mean? You know how that person already wants to address the thing. Like we had something called the X block. So I block down on the tackle, the guard blocks out on the defensive end. and we would open up a big, huge hole. So every time we got a chance, we would just do it. You know what I mean? And then if we were running the same play, but it was going to the other side, then I would make a dummy call and I would call XXX because they were calling XXX over on the other side. You know what I mean? Because they're telling each other how they're going to block that. So I'm calling it over here to make them think, well, which side is it going to? Even though I don't need to call anything because we already got an understanding when it's a situation. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't.
No, I mean, it stands to reason it shouldn't be that difficult, but for whatever reason, sometimes players have a little trouble. Like sometimes it takes guys a while to transfer from right to left on the line, and sometimes they never are able to transfer. Like it just never happens. So it's not just like exactly, able to happen. But for some guys it does. Some guys instantly you can switch them right to left, and there's no drop off and no time to do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh wait, what happened? There it is, right here.
It's the announcer's jinx.
Ryan is convinced we need Jake Moody. Brian's convinced. You spelt Bryant wrong, Bryant.
Your name is contained in his name with the B and a T. B at the beginning and a T at the end. The chat's going wild for this kid. Maybe we better take another look. 60 yards out for fun.
60 yards out.
Well, you know what that means too. It means he can probably kick it out of the end zone on kickoffs too, which would be nice. That's one thing that chaps me off about, Robbie and Wish when they do the kickoffs is they can never consistently kick it out of the end zone to force the touchback. We get way too many runbacks.
I think we need to be able to use that as a weapon. Like some people don't even give them the chance. You know what I mean? To return it. Other people, let's put that ball out there. Let's put that ball out there, baby. Let's see what they do with it.
Make them return it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He could fumble. He could get a hold, illegal block, what have you. Yeah.
Oh, this guy dropped a ball last game. Oh, let's make sure we punt it right at him. You know what I mean? That's why I do like Mitch as the punter because he's got different balls he could throw or kick. You know what I mean? And you get somebody back there who's got some issues, and he can kick one of them banana balls at somebody. Make them go, oh no! Like as the ball's coming down, they're just going, I hope I don't drop it. I hope I don't drop it. That's what I want.
Crazy Juice also said we also have Alfredo Gutierrez at tackle.
Yes, and I'm a very big fan of Alfredo, but I don't think he's our guy.
Gonna play. He's never going to play. If he does, great. That's a fun story. But it seems like he's so far from playing.
Maybe
one of these years he'll make
if he was a viable option, I think Kyle would at least suited him for the Mexico City game and gotten him in there, which personally, you could have suited him and got him in there anyways by the look of that game. And he should have known he could have done that. And I just want him to play. Oh, what up, John B? Oh,
the Vornado in the house.
We also have a friend from across the pond in Paul Hope from 49er Faithful UK. UK Faith. What? Oh man, sorry, Paul.
49er Faithful UK. That's it.
49 Faithful UK. Okay. Felt like I butchered it. But yeah,
it's Paul, Lee Gowland, and Nick Ludlam are all part of that fine organization.
I seen their flag in what's his name? Larry Kruger. Larry Kruger's backdrop. I seen their UK 49ers flag last time I watched Larry Kruger's channel, and I thought of you,
and
Paul.
Larry has a guy named Ryan who works with him, a different Ryan, not as good as this Ryan, but another Ryan who has that flag up in his background too.
Yep. Ryan, well, that name comes from the Isles. It means little king. It's an Irish name. Yes.
It's an emphasis on little. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, whatever's glad. I'm the little king of the small, beautiful.
Did you catch that? The only thing little about you right now is your beard because you chopped it
Yeah.
off. Other than that, you're a big guy. I know that. So
No, my
I
whole
was just
name.
playing.
My whole name is, the meaning is Little King, Small, Beautiful Island.
Ah, ah.
The only reason I got the name Ryan was because my dad's name is Richard, and he wanted a Richard Jr., and my mom said, Ryan, it starts with R. That's as close as you're getting.
There you go.
So,
You know, if you know, for the wives and mothers out there who carry the children, like I think they should have final say on any names for our offspring because they do, you know, I wouldn't say all the work. You know, we do a little work, but it's hardly
no,
equitable the difference between what it takes to for you know. Anyway, I'll leave it there at that. I
they're
don't
not
need to
going to
get too
spend
much into
9 months
detail.
creating a being and let you mess it up with the name.
That's right. That's right. 100%.
Like, my ex let me name my daughter. Uh, she did have say on the names. It's not like it was like, you can go ahead and just name her, whatever you want. I was coming up with names and bouncing it off of her. In fact, she didn't want to go with my daughter's name initially, but I kind of talked her mom into it because I named her Faith,
So,
as in faithful.
right. Oh, wow. That's dedication.
Bruh. And I said, look, Faith and Love. Okay. That's her name. So I was like, look, it's Faith and Love. It goes really, Ann is my mom's middle name, my stepmom's middle name, and my ex's middle name. So I'm like, Faith and Love. It's like a hippie name, this and that. You guys are religious. I'm a 49ers fan. And her mom was like, yeah, yeah. The only thing they
Love
had
it.
an issue with is like, are you going to put both names together with a hyphen? I was like, nope, nothing like that. You can drop one name off or another. You know what I mean? Whatever she wants. That was the only thing they
Uh,
had an issue with.
that's great. That's dedication. I love it.
Oh, we got about 2 more questions to it, and then I got to use the restroom. I got to
All
tinkle.
right.
What's the thoughts on the Cabo crew? I'm glad you brought this up. I wasn't thinking about this, and when you put out the list of topics, I'm like, I'm so glad he put that up because I wasn't going to talk about it. Let me get your thoughts on it first, though.
Well, I mean, some people are calling it the Cabo crew. People that are a little more derogatory, let's say, about it are calling it the Cabo clique, as in it's like middle school where people get excluded and not everyone's included. I've heard some people say, well, if you're going to do a team building, you got to do the whole team. And I said, I was saying maybe Cabo Core is a good name for it because it's sort of like your core players are going. It's a reward for being one of the key captain type players, and ultimately, like, we don't even know that Kyle necessarily invited them down. They may have made their way down there on their own and just hooked up with Kyle. So I'm not going to like roll them. And ultimately, whatever happened, like, I have pretty much faith in Kyle. I'm a Shannon fan. I will criticize him from time to time if I see something that I think deserves criticism, but I don't think this is really a big one, in my opinion. Not something I'm terribly concerned about.
Yeah, I pretty much think it's not a, hey, guys gonna join me this year? I think it's just known that probably Kyle and his family like to go to Cabo, and they got a certain spot that they like to go, and everybody likes to go down and kick it with Kyle. It seems like even during the season when he's, their boss, it seems like they really appreciate him and like to be around him and, enjoy his company. So what it makes sense that in the off season when you can't tell me what I have to do, you know what I mean, that we kick it in an atmosphere where I am your equal. You know what I mean? Like, and also it's a thing where I'm sure it's not like every night they're having dinner together. It's they're down there in the area. Hey, you guys want to link up? What you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like, we ain't got nothing to do tonight. What you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's going on vacation in the same place that other friends are going. Like, you could go and do your stuff and, during the day, but you got somebody to sit around a table and talk to at night if you want to, or, stuff, somebody that's familiar that you appreciate.
Exactly. Kick back a few shots of fine tequila together.
As long as they know that business is business and friendship is friendship, I don't have an issue with it. I used to live with a coworker of mine, and we were both managers. And he was a manager who had a little bit more seniority, or I'd say he had more pull than me. Right? We were essentially on the same line, except for he was the wife liked him better, and so he kind of had like the higher role. But we'd got into arguments many times, and like I remember the first time we got in an argument at work, I went home and he got off before me. I walked in the door, immediately went to my room, and then about 5 minutes later, he comes and knocks on the door. He's like, "Hey, you want to smoke a bowl?" And I'm like, "Fuck." Like I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm mad at you, but at the same time, it's like, oh, we got it. And he just said, "Hey, bro, work is work, okay?" He's like, outside of work, we're friends, okay? Inside of work, you gotta, And I was like, okay, all right. And we had many other discussions after that. And when I got home, it was like, hey, bro, what we do? Smoke some bowl? Yep. You know what I mean? Because it was like, at work is at work. You can get a passionate all about that, but you're off work. No one's paying you to be angry about anything at this point in time. You know what I mean? Just go have fun. Do your thing. So as long as they can keep it separate and understand that decisions aren't, because I don't want anybody's feelings get hurt. Anybody call up Kyle, remember our time in Cabo? Like, bro, it's business. Like we can't, we can't always keep you,
No doubt about it.
So last topic. Should the NFL ban the rugby scrum sneaks? I personally don't think they need to. I personally think it will work itself out one way or another. As play evolves, like we saw it stopped in the NFC Championship, or not the NFC Championship, but the Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. We also saw it stopped against the Saints game. If you got somebody to take out and go lower than the offensive line, and you've got other people going over the top to stop and hold the quarterback back, there's going to be, if you can't get that done at all, they're just going to go back to the regular quarterback sneak, to where the quarterback's more hidden behind the offensive line. You know what I mean? Instead of the offensive line just folding down flat. Plus, there's also everything you could do off the back end of that play. How everybody's huddled in back there. You could toss it. You could do a whole bunch of stuff there. So I think it's going to end up working itself out. I actually personally like it. I don't know why they hadn't done it earlier. Once I saw it, I was like, I've been saying this for like a year. Because I started watching more rugby since started working with Waruna. And he's a big rugby union fan and a big cricket fan. I don't know if you know, there's 3 different types of rugby, but there's 3 different types of rugby.
I did not know that.
Rugby union is the one that you think of when you think of rugby. And then Australian rules football is where you get the punter's kick from. The modern day punter kick. Yeah. So those are totally 2 different sports. It's like the Aussie rules. That one's fun to watch. It's big booming kicks. You catch them like a receiver down at the essentially in like the goal area, and then you do another big booming kick to kick it through the uprights. And then people do what they call, I think it's called a mark. It's where someone does that big booming kick, and you're going to catch it, and then they'll jump on your back, put their knees on your shoulders, and like perch on top of your shoulders and intercept the ball right over the top of you. And then you guys fall to the ground, and then that person gets to pick the ball up and then kick it to his homie again. But I mean, there's some crazy. You got painful. You got 6'8" dudes playing this game, and people are jumping up on top of people's shoulders. It gets crazy.
Jordan Mailata was a rugby player, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Rugby union.
Rugby union. And what's the third kind, Ryan?
What is it? I think it's rugby league. I think
Okay,
it's
so
league.
Union League and Australian rules
And I
football.
can't remember the certain. I think the rugby league is more like a. If I remember correctly, it's like a 7-on-7 type of uh 7-on-7 type of like flag. I want to say flag football type, but it's more fast pace. You know what I mean? It's not ruling. It's yeah, it's more faster pace along the field.
Fair enough.
Um,
What do you think about Bobby Wagner, Bobby Trees, aka Robert Woods, and Taylor Luan? All these free agents that are out there. Well, actually, and I heard the Bills might release their big inside linebacker. I forget the guy's name. He's like 6'4". Tremaine Edmonds might come available too.
So, Taylor Lewan, I don't want to try and bring him over really, unless he's like,
Plus
no, I could totally do
injuries.
that. Well, injuries
Yeah.
you could do like a deal, all this type of stuff. If you got a backup right now that'll work on a team, you know what I mean, that you're already planning on playing, why not go after somebody like that on a prove-it deal? Bobby Wagner, no. That's why do we need a Mike linebacker, another Mike, like a guy who's been in the league longer than the guy we got on a team to play? And I'm sure Bobby Wagner could be cool with it, and I'm sure Fred could be cool with it. They're pros. I just don't think it's smart, especially to pay that money. He's not like he's going to be cheap. He's not coming here on a vet minimum. You know what I mean? Which is something that's more in our price range for filling that position room right now.
Yeah.
Who's the other guys that you asked about?
Robert Woods got cut by the Tennessee Titans.
What position is he? I can't remember.
He's a wide receiver. He used to play for the
That's right.
Rams forever. It was Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp forever. And they tore his ACL and they shipped him off to
That's
the
right.
Titans. He's a good like do it all wide receiver. Especially he's a good blocker, which intrigues me because
Hey,
they place such a high emphasis on blocking.
if he wants to
And
prove,
I would love to watch the Rams Twitter burn, as we picked up, because they loved him when they let him go. He was kind of like a Kittle type character.
oh, yeah, if he wants to prove a deal, bro, I'd take a guy like that any day, especially at wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another weapon, like
Yeah.
I don't think we should be
Veteran.
I don't think we should be drafting a wide receiver this year unless it's a guy who's got like a certain quality to be explosive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
and big, hopefully too.
not
Tall and
like
fast.
Debo, but has a quality to him that is Debo-esque. You know what I mean?
No, more like Julio type is what I'm thinking. I mean,
You,
obviously you wouldn't get everything that Julio has,
look,
but
I'd be happy with an Anquan Bolden.
yeah.
You
So
know what I
another
mean?
Debo type. Okay.
That's who I
Yeah.
thought Jawan Jennings
Tough
was,
guy.
but Jawan
Mhm.
Jennings isn't as big. Like
No, it's like
Jawan
215.
Jennings is a yoked out slot, but not like an Anquan Bolden. That guy was just beast.
Yeah, he put a hurting on you.
Oh
And then
man,
the other one was Tremaine Edmonds, who's also a linebacker from the Bills.
no.
Yeah.
I'd rather develop. We've got the crew. I'd rather develop. We got guys in the room who could teach new guys. We got coaching squad. I think we're good. I think we can handle things.
The only reason why I would maybe think about Bobby Wagner is if he was cheap, looking for a ring, and it doesn't make any sense if Trey and Fred stay healthy all season. But we've led the league in injuries since Kyle's been here, so I'm not wishing injury on anybody. I'm just saying that if it happened, it would be nice to have a backup like him waiting in the wings, or have him playing out there in the meantime, maybe playing Will or Sam. You're obviously not going to take Fred out of Mike unless he's injured. But anyway, that's the only reason why I might think about it is injuries.
No, that's a good reason too, though. That's a good reason. I'm just
because Trey gets injured a fair amount.
I just don't see him coming here on something like that.
Yeah, probably not. But he did leave the Rams because they're not a contender, and
he's
so
also got a ring. Yeah.
He does, but I think he wants one more. That's why he went to the Rams, was to get another one. So
Yeah.
he thought it would be easy, pop in there and just, lather,
Yep.
rinse, repeat, like the
Yep.
Rams fans thought. But we
Bro.
were warning him since March, almost for a year now. It's been, we were telling the Rams, your day is coming, and now it seems like it's here. They got Ramsey on the market. They cut Bobby Wagner. I'm sure there'll be more than that too.
Oh, and people be talking about, should we bring in Ramsey? Tweeted this earlier. We don't need a child in a locker room full of adults. I'm just saying.
No.
Ramsey's a child. It's just going to cause problems. We could do more with less. You know what I mean? We could be just as productive, if not better, with somebody not as talented as Jalen Ramsey. I'm sure, with all the issues he brings. He punched his own teammate.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, everything's fine. That's just how I am. Like, what? What does your teammate think about this? Like, if I was his teammate, I'd be like, oh, I'm a shit in his locker. Oh, excuse my language. I know. We're streaming on your channel too.
That's all right. I never have it set. I never have it set to children's settings. You don't have to worry. I try not to curse too much, but a little here and there. What the heck, I mean, it's bound to pop out from time to time. Yeah, and Ramsey's going to require draft capital too. He's going to be expensive from a cap perspective and expensive from a draft cap but toll perspective. So yeah, I don't see any way that ever happen. And wait. I mean, come on, the Rams are never going to trade him in division anyway. So that's just a pipe dream, if you will. So
yeah, well, I think we should probably end it on that. I got to use the restroom.
Yeah, go. Do what you got to do. Let's just say, go Niners.
Yeah, I
want to
thank you for
having
coming
me
on.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Ryan. It's always a pleasure chopping it up with you. I'm glad we were able to try this restream thing. Didn't look like it went through to my Twitter feed, but I saw it was on YouTube at least, so that's the most important part. And we'll get the kinks figured out. But I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you taking the time to work with me again, and hope we get to do it. Run it back soon, as I always say.
And
like the clean beard look, you're looking smooth, streamlined, fast. Even dare I say?
Don't you got a show going on today at 4:00 with somebody? I think
I got David McNiner at 4. I've got Benji 5 Rings at noon, and Jesse Naylor at 5:30.
There you go. You guys heard it first. Go make sure to go check them out. And also, I have you got Jesse Naylor at 5:30. At 6:00.
Yeah.
We've got Niner World Order on Aaron First Takes channel with 49er Minded, Bashar, with Niner Sickness, Beto, me, 49er, me, No Border Sports, No Crypto, and Mariah, 49er Faithfully, is joining us tonight as our guest. So please
very
tune into all that content. Yeah, make sure to tune in. And with that,
the Dream Team, folks, don't miss it.
With that, have a wonderful day.